But your rich life isn't necessarily just money. It's also how you feel about yourself and how you like live your life. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So today's minimalism video is going to be one about literature and reading and wealth. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it, let's go. Woo. So this year has been a crazy year for me. I've done a lot of things that I was scared to do that I actually did. So I started a jewelry business and I published my minimalism book. And something interesting that I noticed that totally shocked me that I did not think was going to be a thing. I thought my book was going to be a big success. It turned out my jewelry business was a lot more successful than my book. And that was strange to me because I thought my community is not materialistic. This is a minimalism channel if you're wondering, for anybody who's new. I really thought that my book would be more popular. Turns out that was not the case. And I'm not bashing you guys. I'm a big hypocrite. I really have no right to judge anybody because you guys know that I'm super materialistic as a minimalist. It's no secret. We all know that. So, but I just thought this was a me thing because I'm a Libra. I'm a strong Libra. So I thought that this is just a me problem. But it just surprised me that you guys prefer material stuff over books. And I was like, oh no. We have to work on that, guys. So as you guys have read the title, I'm rich because I read. And I thought that would be really interesting because yes, as much as I think that jewelry does make life amazing, you guys know that, and you can definitely chop pieces on my shop. Jewelry does make life amazing, but I think that we need to become a little bit less materialistic, and we definitely need to invest up here in our knowledge and our wealth. Because honestly, a lot of the successes that I have in life have been because I read. I've been told that for my age, I'm very mature and very wise, but it's not because of me. It's because all that wisdom is an accumulation of knowledge. I've just accumulated other people's knowledge by reading. What took someone 10 years to figure out, I can kill off in a month. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring to the table for the new year, since it is currently January and it is 2023. Although sometimes I'm behind on these videos. This might be February, who knows? But anyway, I wanted to share some classic books that if you have not read yet, I highly recommend you read. It's a very simple 4-book list, but they're the books that have definitely changed my life. Don't ask me why the majority of these books are Japanese. I don't know why. It just is what it is. We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, so the first book, the book that had completely changed my life, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I also read Think and Grow Rich, so I'm gonna throw that one in right there as well too. I worked at Indigo and I was like, ooh, this book looks spicy, and so I read it. It's very convoluted and not very clear, but essentially the idea is that you can create your reality, and I firmly believe in that. I know a lot of people are like,
you can't just think your best life, and you have to have action, and you can't just yell affirmations into the mirror.
I completely agree with that. You do still need to put in the work. So I'm not saying read this book and you'll be rich. That's not what I'm saying, but at the same time, that is kind of what I'm saying. But I think it is a fantastic book. I think that Rich Dad Poor Dad, yes, there's a lot of criticisms of the book, and I'm not putting the book on a pedestal as I had in the past. It was literally Bible to me. I would literally read it like a Bible and take out verses and stick it on my wall. I was a pretty big fan. But these books definitely helped shift my mindset. The main thing that it did for me personally was it gave me the permission to think that I could be, well off. Prior to that, I grew up on welfare. I didn't think that I'd ever be rich or well off or good with money. I just did not think, that was my underlying paradigm. You're poor, and poor people stay poor, and rich people are rich. You're born rich, and that's it. You don't get to choose to be rich. But this book was no, you can be rich. Anybody can be rich. And the reason you're poor is because you choose to be poor, because you spend your money on garbage. And obviously there's a lot of societal pressures and a lot of societal barriers. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just talking about the life philosophy that you could just at least be better with your money. I'm not saying this book is going to promise you riches, although it could, but I'm just saying just generally speaking, you could be in a better financial state of affairs, which is honestly, it's really nice to just sleep at night and knowing that you're not living paycheck to paycheck, which again, I have lived when I had student loans. I know what that's like. It sucks. So if we could just get a little bit better with our money, I would love that for my Cobras. I don't want to promise massive things that are just unrealistic. I just want to say that this book definitely helped me have a healthier relationship with money, and I would love that for my Cobra babies. So that's why I definitely recommend it. If you want something a little bit more abstract, then I recommend Think and Grow Rich. Okay, number 2, Do Less. So this is the minimalism book that made me a minimalist. So this is by Rachel Jonad, who is also, I think, on social media known as the Minimalist Mom. She's amazing. I love her work. I don't know if she'll ever watch this video, but she literally made me, or gave me, the foundation for being a minimalist. It's this really cute little blue book. I actually ended up picking it up at Urban Outfitters, of all places. Not the most minimalistic place to pick up a book, but it drastically shifted my perspective. Among one of the things that I picked up from the book that was very fundamental to my minimalism journey was the permission to let go of feminine habits. I honestly did not know that was an option. I know that nowadays with technology and internet and all of that good stuff, there's a big movement. You don't have to wear makeup. You don't have to, always buy clothes. So for me, this book gave me that permission that I didn't have to do those things. And that definitely put me ahead financially. All of these female little habits, like I still do them and I'm aware that it costs me money, but I do it with intention. But at the time, it really did free me a lot. It helped also free me to discover Zen and to discover my true self without a social mask, which was also really beautiful. I mean, she doesn't talk about those things. That was me in my own journey, but it's a very practical, easy guide. You can definitely find some free PDF copies online, or if you want to support the author, definitely pick up her book. I love this book and I highly recommend it for anybody who's on their minimalism journey or is just starting their minimalism journey or even just wants to up their minimalism journey. I highly recommend it. It's told from the perspective of a woman. So if you are a female minimalist, as the majority of my audience is, highly recommend this book. Okay, number 3, Goodbye Things. So this book is very love it or hate it. Fumio's book is told from the perspective of like being a minimalist is essentially being a loser. And so a lot of people think that, like, especially here in Western culture, there's a lot of emphasis on being a winner and just like living it up in your big best life. So for me, I studied Japanese culture when I was younger. I went to Japanese after school, Japanese school after school, and I've been to Japan. So there's a big different mindset in Japan, or even just Asian culture in general, that is very different from the Western culture. So I can understand why if you read Fumio Sasaki Goodbye Things and you don't live in Asia, I mean, I'm sure you don't have to live in Asia to appreciate the book, but I can understand why there's a definite big divide. Some people love it, some people hate it. I loved it. I was super obsessed with Fumio stuff. In 2020, that book definitely got me through some hard times. I have an online copy of it that like I read on my Kindle, and I love what he has to say. I have modeled a lot of my extreme minimalism after him. It's very freeing for me personally. Reading his book definitely freed me from the matrix. Like, I felt like there were so many things that you don't have to do, that you don't have to live the way that you're supposed to live, and that was really freeing for me. I highly recommend this book. If you want something that is a lot more hardcore, I would definitely recommend this. But if you feel like being that stoic and that badass is not really your cup of tea, you might not enjoy this book. But for me, I love minimalism. It isn't as life-changing because I did read it later on in life. By the time I read Fumio, I had already been a minimalist for about 7 years. So for me, it was more like a pleasant read, a really entertaining read, a very like affirming of my values type of read. So I wouldn't put it up there as life-changing, but it was definitely a very solid and informative read to give me a different perspective on minimalism. Okay, and number 4, I highly recommend this book, and that is A Monk's Guide to Cleaning. So you guys, if you've been a subscriber for a long time, my old subscribers know that I went through like I went through a Zen journey. I was a pretty big hardcore like Buddhist, and I lived very monk-like for about 2 years in 2018, 2019, and almost 3 years, 2020, and I gave up my material possessions. I was really close to shaving my head too. Honestly, guys, I got rid of wearing makeup, wearing brand clothing. I wore that same baggy, oversized black shirt with like baggy pants, and like I just was like in my Zen. I was reading a lot of Zen novels, a lot of Zen literature and scripture. Anyway, my point being is I discovered a lot of things that, like, I was trying to escape my life. I was trying to escape the matrix, and I was trying to escape reality. And Zen helped me a lot with that, with realizing that there's actually nothing to escape. Like, until you die, we're all still stuck here on the material plane. And since we're all stuck here on the material plane, the most important question to ask yourself is, what's the most important thing? That really gave me the foundation to really appreciate the little simple things in life, because I think before that I still had a very Western mentality of like, my best life is like living my like a big life. But anyway, so the book that I want to recommend is A Monk's Guide to Cleaning. This book was very intentional, very beautiful. It's also a Japanese book, and for me, I felt like in 2020 I didn't have a job, so for me, like, living a simple and humble life was driving me absolutely insane. Like, I know that sounds very weird coming from me, given that I have a minimalism channel. For me, I derive a lot of self-worth from being successful and working and, I guess, accumulating wealth. So for me to have been unemployed was just so devastating, and A Monk's Guide to Cleaning taught me how to find Zen in just like the daily, like washing dishes, cleaning, like mopping the floor, like finding your life's purpose in cleaning. I know that's like a very strange concept, and unless you're like deep in minimalism, you won't really understand this, but you can find Zazen and you can find everything that you're looking for in life in the mundane, or I guess the beauty of the daily cleaning. And it is so true. Like, now that I make cleaning a daily practice, like I vacuum my room and I make my bed every day out of respect for myself, it just puts me in the most productive of moods. When I thought that, I was like, nah, it's not that big of a deal, and I would just like lounge in my PJs. I didn't feel good the whole day, and it just, not only was I not that productive, because I don't think being productive is the most important thing, I just didn't feel good. I just felt sloppy, and I just felt like I had no respect for myself. But now that like I frequently vacuum and I do the dishes and I practice Zen, so although I don't meditate as much as I used to, ever since I read that book said that you can find Zen in cleaning, I was like, well, that is just a way more effective and productive use of my time. So I vacuum and I practice Zen at the same time, and so now I finished my Zen for the day and my room is clean. I just feel like I'm winning at life, and it's a really good feeling because you feel like you respect your environment. My environment is super clean and super pristine, and it really does reflect in my mental health. I feel like $1,000,000, and isn't that what we wanted? Isn't that all we wanted at the end of the day? So yeah, I highly recommend these books. I know that these books were not necessarily the most actionable on like I'm rich because I read, but your rich life isn't necessarily just money. It's also how you feel about yourself and how you like live your life. So I hope that these books, if you do check them out or if you have read them, comment down below what you guys think. I would love to read it, and I highly recommend these books. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.